What's up, everybody? This is Strict Gaming here. This is our episode 3 of our playthrough of Civ 5 with mods turned on as the Greeks. You will notice that I've actually sped this video up. That is because I recorded this video, talked into the mic and everything, and then realized that I forgot to turn the mic on. So I'm just going to speed through this video as fast as we can here and kind of cover the highlights of what's going on. But we're going to continue our war against the Ottomans and our siege of Istanbul to take their capital. But first, we got a great prophet at the end of the last episode, and we are going to found our religion here. And with the mods turned on, we have a bunch of historical religions. So we have a bunch of cool icons unlocked. Just to, kind of flavor up the gameplay here. I'm going to end up choosing Hellenism, which isn't necessarily a cool looking icon. But I just figured we're playing and this is me just being like, okay, these are cool. But I just figured us playing as the Greeks, we should select Hellenism because, we need to worship Zeus and Poseidon and all that. We ended up choosing tithe as our founder religion, our founder belief, and then we choose pagodas for our follower belief, just because you're going to find out here we are going to need some happiness pretty soon. And then tithe, hopefully we can spread our religion and get some money flowing, because as of right now we don't have any trade routes or anything because we've been focusing so heavily on war, and it's hard to get trade routes going when you're at war. So here's our initial start of the siege of Istanbul. I know that it's not really good in Civ to wipe out a civilization completely, especially when you know a lot of other Civs, because they will kind of resent you for that for the rest of the game. But Suleiman just kind of drove me crazy with his fort settling and then declaration of war that almost wiped us off the map really early. So I've just decided to kind of rid the world of Suleiman. So we have our composite bows firing. I'm kind of getting our catapults into range, where we have 4 different range units just firing on Istanbul all at once. And then we'll bring a melee unit up in a minute. And see what can be done with Istanbul here. But as you can see, Istanbul is a pretty good spot for a city. It's got fresh water for farms. It's got whales, and it has fish. It's got some mountains. It's got some wheat. So it will hopefully be a really good city. And as you can see, we're taking the hit points on Istanbul down pretty quickly. So I'm moving my units into range here for this siege, my melee units. And Suleiman with his last gasp of a peace treaty, and we meet Nebuchadnezzar here, which is he's way off on the other side of the map, so he found us, and hopefully we can get our triremes going pretty soon and start to explore the other continents. We did unlock philosophy, which hopefully I want to build the National College at some point, because that is a good boost to our science. As you can see, Istanbul is about to fall. We got a hoplite in range. I'm trying to figure out here how to get my units in line. Here I decided to go for civil service so we can get some more food going along our river tiles, and also get us into the medieval era. There's the Babylonians there. We finally got rid of the barbarian encampment down to the east of us, and I am going to be neglectful of this hoplite here, and he will eventually get killed. I actually stand him in place to heal, and then I forget about him, and the barbarian keeps attacking him, and he dies. So that's another mistake by me. As you can see here, I'm going to build a trireme to try to explore a little bit. Colosseum for the happiness, because I'm expecting to take a big happiness hit with Istanbul here. And Istanbul should fall. And goodbye, Suleiman. The Ottomans are defeated and Istanbul is ours. do annex the city, just because a capital is going to be good. Pretty good location always. Usually it has multiple luxuries and all that stuff, so I usually always annex them. As you can see, I got a settler, and I am taking them to the original Ottoman city that settled in the place that I originally wanted my second city. And there's our first denunciation from Kamehameha, and he originally wanted to be our friend, but he is pissed off that we killed the Ottomans. As you can see an Aztec swordsman coming up from the north, and that is a foreshadowing of what is going to come in this episode. It's a shame that I did not get the sound recorded for this episode live while I was playing it, because this was kind of a shock to me that the Aztecs came this far down the map. Because you're going to see in a minute what they brought. This is where I realized, like, oh crap, he's getting attacked. So then I just moved him back one and heal him more, but I was still kind of neglectful. So here I'm kind of counting to where I need to send my worker for the settler, and we're going to get our second actual Greek city settled here of Sparta. And there's the hoplite being killed over on the right. This is me checking out my gold production. Happiness is down. So even though our score is looking pretty good, we're still kind of behind the Aztecs here. But overall, I like our position, and we did take out a civ. So I think we're in a pretty good position overall right now at this point in the game. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I'm sad that we missed out on the Hanging Gardens, but I still think we're doing okay, especially with the Aztecs leading. They're on our continent, so that gives us a good chance to take them out in wartime instead of just letting them roll. It's going to be easier to. And this is where I realize. Oh crap, the Aztecs are coming for me. And I start to send my army south, and I'm actually going to send those two. I'm going to send some of the army north of the mountains to try to hit them from two sides. And I was actually kind of surprised that they were coming this far south, and it actually was good timing, because I took Istanbul, and luckily I took Istanbul in time enough to prepare for the Aztecs coming towards me. And they did have a good many swordsmen. They'd upgraded some units. They had a pretty good sized force. So I'm sending some comp bows north here. And you're going to see in a minute, I actually do declare war on the Aztecs instead of letting them declare war on me. Because if I let them declare war on me, they're probably going to march all the way to my borders and then declare war. Whereas I decide to declare war on them out in the open, away from my cities, just to try to take out as many units of theirs as I can before they get to my cities to disrupt my workers and production and et cetera, et cetera. I think at this point thought that they were coming for the Ottoman cities, but they are actually going to make a beeline for Athens, and they actually get into my borders, and I'll let you see what happens. But it's a pretty interesting little war that we have here in this episode, and there's where I declare war on them preemptively, just to try to keep them away from my cities as long as possible. I liked, even though my hoplite was kind of up there by itself, it was kind of in a choke point around that lake to where only that swordsman could attack it. And it was supported by this comp bow down here to the south. And then I had my comp bow up north here to kind of pick off the people behind. We have a nice little island, nice little gulf kind of between us and the rest of the continent. There's my comp bow, attack the swordsman. He shoots the swordsman. Another comp bow coming. Siege, I move into the city because I actually don't know what city they're coming for yet. So I'm kind of playing a little bit of defense in my cities as well. You see I have both my catapults stationed in the Ottoman cities because that's really where I thought they were going. And that ends up not to be the case. I found Sparta and go straight for the library just because science is good, and I got a free monument in that city for taking tradition. So I'm going to go straight for the library. My workers are building a road to Sparta, and I actually built the road in the wrong order because I built the Ottomans had already built roads, but I just decided to go ahead and build the rest of the roads and connect to Athens last, which it's kind of a drain on my money. You see I'm making zero money right now, and we're actually going to go negative in this episode before we hook up to Athens, just because the roads were kind of built in reverse, which is fine. I mean, early game, money's not as important. It's good to have it because you can do things with it, but if you don't have it, you can you can still do okay. Because we've done okay in this game so far. And there's a Jaguar warrior up there, but I have hoplites, so I'm not too worried about them. And at this point, I still don't know where they're going. They're kind of just hanging around these hills over here. And I'm just kind of picking them off one by one as they come. I do move my catapult out of Adrene and kind of pick people off. I do notice this barbarian encampment over here with a worker, so I get kind of distracted because I'm like, ooh, I want that worker. Building the road to Sparta here. Zooming out a little bit to get some perspective. Yeah, but a little bit more about me. I think I might have said this in one of the first two episodes, but I love Civilization. Is probably my favorite game series ever. I am a big history buff, especially world history and world civ. Probably my favorite. You know, it's hard for me to pick a specific era that I like. You know, a lot of people that I know love Civil War or love U.S. history. And, you know, I love U.S. history too, just being from the U.S. But I've always been a world guy. Like, I just love studying the whole kind of development of humans overall. And I'm not a teacher anymore. I actually work for a municipal government. But I taught world history for a couple years. The reason I don't do it anymore is just because I hated the education system. But I love teaching. I actually love teaching world history. And I made a lot of cool PowerPoints, and I actually used Civ 5 at the end of the year to do kind of a last little fun project thing with my classes where, you know, they took a Civ and, you know, kind of took it through the eras. We played on quick. Just so we could get it done, you know, in a reasonable amount of time. But this game is just so good to me at simulating civilization. It's not, you know, I play Europa Universalis, I play Crusader Kings. I play those games. I'm not really good at them. I don't really understand them still. So if this channel, you know, if I get, you know, subscribers and you guys want me to play those kind of games, I can play those kind of games, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you I'm not really good at them, and I still don't understand them because I just don't play them enough, because this game just sucks so much time out of my playing time of games, just because I just can play this game over and over. I think it's such a good simulation of not necessarily our world's history, because, I mean, you can learn world history from this just from reading the Civilopedia and stuff, but I think it's just such a good civilization simulation. Like, you're on and it doesn't, and the historical part of it is being the Greeks and being the Aztecs and stuff like that is just, it's just a fun way of grounding it in stuff that we already know. And for students it's really good because you can say, okay, here's Alexander that we learned about, here's Genghis Khan that we learned about, here are these, you know, these buildings that we learned about, here's these technologies that we've learned about. It's just a really good game at taking like a made up world, which is not even a made up world, a Earth-like planet, and if all the conditions were kind of the same as our Earth, and, you know, humans were on this planet that isn't necessarily Earth, but it's Earth-like with continents and, you know, mountains and trees and stuff like that, and, you know, same kind of resources that we have here on Earth. how would civilization develop? If you were guiding a civilization from the dawn of agriculture to the near future, how would that happen? How do civilizations interact when resources are limited and, these resources are here, these resources are here, these cities are close and they have different cultures. How do they trade for this stuff? It's just such a good simulation of that, and I'm probably nerding out too. And that's Kamehameha declares war on us here, so we have war with the Aztecs and the Polynesians. But as you will come to find out in this episode, the Polynesians do not have an army. So I kind of freaked out here and was like, oh crap, we have both of our northern neighbors are attacking us. But there's nothing really to worry about with the Polynesians. And as you can see here, the Aztecs have kind of surrounded my city because I kind of held my forces up north because I really didn't know where they were going to go. And they kind of beeline straight for Athens. But Athens ends up being okay. My units were able to pick them off enough. I got really obsessed with getting that worker, and I got him. But we were able to pick them off enough and get their health so low that by the time they got to Athens, they weren't really a threat. And I kind of let my worker just keep working while their units were down in Athens, just because I've kind of learned that the AI will not steal your workers. If they're going, barbarians will, but if a civ is attacking you, they usually just go straight for your city and leave your workers alone, unless they're just writing a tile that they want to be on to siege your city. So I've kind of learned if your worker's kind of out of the way, you can kind of just leave him, because they won't really make him a priority. And at this point, I'm not really worried about Athens. I'm actually going to send composite bowmen to go towards the Aztec borders because I just am curious to see what they have left, if they've sent their whole army towards me or if they're going to send another wave. So I'm actually going to send a guy towards them here. Aztec swordsmen pillaged my silver there. I'm going to take this guy in and heal him, and this guy I'm going to send east and go for a shrine to build there. Happiness is at 2, and you see our money is bleeding -12 here because one of our silvers got destroyed, and we're building a lot of roads that cost money and they're not hooked up to our capital. So I am going to get a trade ship going here, but you'll see I'm at war, so I'm kind of going to wait till the war's over to get that trade route actually going because it might get plundered otherwise. We're still waiting on the courthouse in Adrini, which once that gets done, the happiness should be pretty much okay. I'm going to give the Spartan here, I think I end up giving him the 3rd drill. I think. Yes, that's what I end up doing. Composite bowman discovers a lake here in the middle of the continent. And we're going to heal this guy. And our worker's going to build a camp here. And we want to work that farm just to get some food going in Sparta. But anyway, I just love Civ so much, and I think, and there comes the Navy for the Aztecs. And I was actually really surprised to see that many triremes because usually the AI sucks at naval warfare, and they pretty much suck here too. Like Athens was if there were more ocean tiles there, I would have been really worried, and Athens might have actually fallen if there had been more ocean tiles around Athens. But the way Athens is set up here, only one trireme can attack Athens at once just because of this tiny little gulf, tiny little bay right there in front of Athens. So I just kill a trireme, another one comes, I kill him. So these 4 triremes here, it actually takes a little while, but I just kind of pick them off as they come into Athens. I think I do get a ranged unit down in Athens at some point, and I'm able to dispatch them a little bit quicker, but we kind of eliminated their land force, and now we're just picking off their triremes, and the threat is pretty much over from the Aztecs. Our trade ship will be done in 3 turns, but when it gets done, I'm gonna snooze it, just because there's a bunch of triremes right outside my city. We did have a trireme earlier, and I don't know if it's been killed yet. I think it was. But there was a trireme up by Sidon, and there was an Aztec trireme up there, and I tried to attack it, and the Aztec trireme killed mine, so we didn't get to explore that much. But I think once this war's over and we get to the next episode and the Aztecs are kind of done with us, we'll explore some more. But yeah, this game is so good, and I remember when I was teaching, my kids just loved. They actually, obviously teenagers like video games, and I'm late 20s, so I'm not that far off from removed from being a teenager, only 10 years. But I just think it's such a good game, and such an educational game. Not only learning history, but just simulating trade and war and resources and technology and culture and how they all interact with each other. Obviously, it could be a little bit more. Obviously, it could be more in depth if it wanted to be. Like an EU4 or Crusader Kings or something like that, where you're playing like generations of characters and different cultures and populations within your own culture, and rebellions and vassalage, and I know Civ 4 had a lot of that stuff too. Colonies, that kind of stuff. You could do a lot more with it, which would be awesome, and I'm sure maybe there's some mods out there that do that. But just in general, for a fun general simulation of how these things interact, I just think it's such a good simulation, and the graphics are so good in this game. And when with Brave New World and Gods and Kings, with the religion and the trade routes, all that stuff is just so good. And I like the road. I actually like the roads in this game, that you can't spam them, that there's only major roads between the cities. I actually kind of like that. I kind of picture that there's smaller roads out there and there's smaller towns around your cities, but they're just too small to see on the map. That's kind of the way I imagine it. Let's see how much time we got left here. Okay, we're almost done with this episode. This episode actually would have been about 45 minutes long as well if I left it going regular speed, just because I got really into the war with the Aztecs and kind of lost track of time. So it might be a blessing that it kind of lost the recording of this video, because it made the episode a little bit shorter, a little bit more in line with the 30 minutes. Genghis Khan wants 2 gold and all that. I just refuse him, because that's just a ridiculous offer, even though I'm 15 down in gold. You'll see by the end of this episode we get the roads hooked up, and we don't go exactly positive, but we're almost there. But I feel like once we kind of get unfocused on war and can focus on infrastructure of our Civ, we will kind of stabilize a little bit. But I'm still comfortable with our score. Everybody is pretty close in this game so far in their score, as you can see that we know. The Aztecs are still pretty high up there, but I'm not really worried about them yet, especially, like I said before, they're on our continent, so I feel like we can deal with them if we have to. Right now would be a perfect time to strike at them, since we've pretty much eliminated their navy and their army, but I just don't think we're close enough. I don't want to send an army across that whole continent like they did yet. I feel like we need to push a little bit further than them, and maybe even just take out the Polynesians first and build up an even bigger empire. But I feel like if we can take this whole continent pretty much to ourselves, not even necessarily, I don't feel like we're going to eliminate the Polynesians, maybe just take Honolulu, and even take the Aztec capital and a couple of their cities, leave them on the continent, but pretty much dominate it. If we can dominate our continent, I feel like we'll probably win this game. And that's usually the way a Civ game goes. If you can dominate your continent, then you're pretty much going to be competing with whoever dominates the other continent or the other continents, if you have multiple continents. So we'll see how the game goes. We may end up losing too. You never know. But since I am playing on King, I usually win when I play on King. It's very rare that I lose on King. But you never know, I may, especially since I'm playing while talking, which I don't usually do. So we'll see. We're negative 14 in gold here, and I'm really worried about it. I usually don't go to war that early in the game, but it was. I mean, Suleiman really kind of pushed our hand with going to war, and that's why we did that. So the Aztecs threat is pretty much over, but he will not make peace with us, which kind of drives me crazy because I want to get my trade route going, and he's not making peace with us. I haven't talked about a lot of the buildings that we're building just because the video is going so fast, but we will. Sidon, we are friends with Sidon, and they did give us a unit during our war with the Aztecs, which came in handy with taking care of their triremes. I think we're going to finish up our road by the end of this episode. Build shrine. I do want to get faith going just so we can spread it with missionaries, and he still won't make peace with us. We can get missionaries going and buy some pagodas, especially for happiness. And we can get more religion. And I'm like, hurry up, God, build the road. Come on, want some money. Okay, they're still building the road. We're going to repair our silver here. And you can see that I'm moving a force north towards the Polynesians. We are still at war with them, even though they have not posed a threat at all. And I think the next episode we will probably declare war on the Polynesians and take Honolulu. I don't want to take their other city, but at this point I'm just kind of scoping out to see what they have. And in Nukuhiva, you see they don't have a dang thing. So they don't have an army at all. So they should be pretty much a pushover for our forces. And if we get really desperate with our money situation, we may have to delete units. But you can see we finished our road between all our cities, and that only took us down to under 3. And you see they have nobody, just the pikemen. And by the time we get a trade route, we should be positive in money. But that's this is pretty much our episode, guys. Thanks for watching, and hopefully my next episode I will remember to turn the mic on. And we do get a trade route going there, so we are positive. And I will see you guys for our next episode. Thanks.